Oh, you thought we forgot? Claro que no, mi gente. This month is Hispanic Heritage Month. Woo! Now, much like Black History Month, it's impossible to relegate a whole culture's history to a month, let alone a 5-minute video. So we're going to focus on Hispanic heritage in relation to the formation of what we know today to be Los Angeles, California. This is Hispanic Heritage Month. First and foremost, let's talk about what Hispanic means. There seems to be a lot of confusion around the terms Hispanic, Latino, and Latinx. So here's a quick, easy guide. Hispanic refers to individuals either from Spain or Spanish-speaking countries. Latino or Latina refers to individuals from Latin countries, Central America, South America, and the Caribbean. Remember, countries like Brazil, for instance, their native language would be Portuguese, so they would be considered Latino, but not Hispanic. This term grew into popularity in the 90s because it included a wider variety of cultures and also disassociated its colonial ties to Spain. But a term that rose to popularity recently is Latinx. How does this differ? The term basically means the same as Latino or Latina, but with a gender-neutral position. California became a state as a result of the Mexican-American War from 1846 to 1848. A massive 525,000 square miles of territory above Mexico was ceded to the victorious United States in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo on February 2nd, 1848. Yes, the United States technically paid Mexico for the land, $15 million to be exact, but let's be real, it was kind of taken. Even back then, that was a steal. Not to mention what the land would be worth only weeks after the treaty was signed, and California became the 31st state. Oh yes, we're talking about the gold rush. More than 60,000 people came into California in 1849 alone to acquire these well-sought-after gold nuggets. By the way, most newly acquired territories wait years before they reach statehood. With the large number of people who migrated to California so quickly, this area jumped the gun into that department. Like we said, we can't go over the entire history here. We're sure you know about colonialism and how mainly the Dutch and English conquered the East while the Spanish settled in the West. So here are a few history notes related directly to Los Angeles. The area comprising present-day Los Angeles County was first settled by small groups of Native Americans for centuries before the first European contact in 1769, when Gaspar de Portola and a group of missionaries camped on what is now the banks of the Los Angeles River. Before California gained its statehood, it held some pretty interesting history between the power struggle from Spaniards, Native California, Native Americans, and Mexicans. In 1821, a newly independent Mexico took control of the region, making California a province of Mexico from 1821 to 1846, which puts us right at the Mexican-American War. During this time, the land was highly secularized, meaning it went into private hands. Most of these private landowners, also known as rancheros, were native Californians. You see where this power struggle is coming from? During these times, the rancheros were the center of economic production as well as political and social power. The rancheros' highly influential culture, centered on ideals of paternalism, gentility, and benevolence, shaped social practices, architecture, places, names, and created the basis of California's romantic Spanish past. Colonialism, man. Latinx have played a central role in the history of Los Angeles, influencing nearly all aspects of the city's life and growth since. The Mexican-American labor leader and civil rights activist Cesar Chavez dedicated his life's work to what he called La Causa. Now, I know there are a lot of criticisms of him lately, given that he opposed undocumented immigrants, even going as far as using racial slurs against them. He underpaid his staff. That's a gross understatement, and accepted an all-expense-paid trip from a repressive government and gladly received an award from its ruthless dictator despite pleas of activists not to do so. So yes, we acknowledge his faults. However, Miriam Powell, a writer for the New York Times and author of his autobiography, had this to say. On balance, he said, the good outweighed the bad. It's not even close. So let's talk about the good. Committed to the tactics of nonviolent resistance practices by Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., Chavez founded the National Farm Workers Association, later the United Farm Workers of America, and won important victories to raise pay and improve working conditions for farm workers in the late 1960s and 1970s. But our history and accomplishments aren't relegated to 8th grade history books. Hispanic and Latinx individuals have been making history and continue to make history. How about Elena Ochoa, the first Hispanic woman to travel into outer space and help pioneer research about our ozone layer? Or Sylvia Rivera, a Venezuelan and Puerto Rican American who fought tirelessly for trans rights and is often credited as the person who put the T in the LGBT. Or even Maria Elena Salinas, who is the longest running female reporter in history and the first Latina to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award Emmy. Look, this month is supposed to be a celebration, so let me not just spout out names at you. Who are Hispanic or Latinx people who deserve a shout out, either throughout history or in present day? Let us know in the comments section. And not to bring down the celebratory mood, but this group is all about action. When it comes to the census, Latinos are frequently undercounted. In 2010, the net undercount rate for young Latinos was 7.1% compared to 4.3% for non-Latinos. More than 400,000 Latino children under the age of 4 were left uncounted in the 2010 census. We have to make sure there aren't any barriers in ways to receiving the proper count. This means language barriers, difficult low housing setups, and even fear tactics around deportation. We have to give the proper count, or else everything we talk about this month will just be another symbolic victory.